We've known Tommy Ford for a long time at University of Alabama, and appreciate him coming in and spending some time not only to talk about the Crimson Tide and what another great run they're having this year, and the numbers that Tua's putting up and just this offense have been unbelievable. We'll talk about that a little bit, but more importantly as well, the new book you've got out commemorating the 2017 National Championship team with the Crimson Tide. I've seen this book. I've seen the content, and it is outstanding as all your other books have been. Congratulations on a new book.
Thank you, Jay. It's great to be here, Professor Anderson.
Good to see you, Tommy. I've had Tommy join my class many times, Jay, and terrific writer. What book number is this for you now?
Well, counting the ones that have been updates, it's 11. So it's 9, and then
he's got you.
I know. I'm trying to catch him. I'm about ready to sign book contract number 9. But
yeah, well, it's we've been fortunate. All of us who live and breathe and work in Alabama football and Alabama athletics have been extremely blessed these last few years, and it's been quite a ride. And just the last 7, 8, 9 years, it's been unprecedented. And my son's 21 now, and he does remember Coach Fran and Coach Shula, but his life remembers Nick Saban.
Yeah,
and kind of similar to the way we were back in Coach Bryant's day, but Coach Bryant's 6 national championships were spread out over, a variety of years, 2 decades.
Yeah, 2 decades.
Yeah, 60s and 70s. And
they talked about getting rid of him, right? At one point in time, early in the 1970s.
At one time, he thought that it was time for him to go, and he actually talked to, I believe, Joe Robbie at the Miami Dolphins, and that was an issue back then. He told Dr. Matthews, our president, that his time is served here. He's getting too old for this game, and whatever reason, they came to an agreement for him to stay. And then, literally 2 seasons later, he went to the Wishbone, and the rest was history.
Isn't it amazing how Coach almost left Alabama for Miami, and Coach Saban left
that
Miami
is amazing.
For
yes.
Alabama? I mean, just that so many things that have happened with both of their lives.
Yeah. Yeah, and like I think a lot of people have made issue of the fact that if Coach Saban could have signed Drew Brees at the time, would he have ever had to leave Miami, or not had to leave, but would he have ever been even given the consideration? Because he probably would have.
Well, we've gone over some of the similarities before. They both were 66 when they won their 6th national championship. They both lost their fathers at a young age. Their fathers were the same age. It kind of goes on and on and on, and they both have their wives are very similar, and both were kind of the recruiting closers and sort of manage the day-to-day affairs. But so Tommy, let's get into your book here.
Okay.
When did you start? First of all, did you actually wait until Alabama won the national championship, or did you get going on this as they were in the playoffs?
Well, a little bit of both. I have a history with Whitman Publishers. I know Jay's done a vault book with them, I guess 11, 12 years ago. I did another one in 2009, and then I did an update of that vault book last year. So I already had a relationship with Whitman, but after the 11 championship and the 12 championship and the 15 championship, I had done books, and they're all kind of the same in that I don't write anything until after it's after it's settled. However, it doesn't hurt to do research and keep newspaper articles or online articles or just kind of notes, mental notes about how a season is going and maybe a theme for the season. And so Whitman told me, I guess back in October, November, that if we were to win a championship, that they would like to do another book on the season. And obviously we have, with me being in the athletic department, I have to go up the ladder and get approval, and which I did. And then Kent Gidley, who runs our athletic photography area, has to be clued in on it. And Kent and I start talking, but we're not going to dare say anything about working on a book that hadn't happened yet, around our
Sure.
place. But still, you prepare for it. And then once it happens, and you literally do not know, like the year before, with a minute to go, 2 minutes to go in the game against Clemson, I'm thinking, I got to get to work on this book. And then 2 minutes later, it's like, no book this year.
Mm-hmm.
And then Whitman went to Clemson, and they did one on Clemson's national championship against us. So, and they look for a Clemson type writer like I am here, and they published a book as for Clemson last year. So Whitman's kind of playing both sides.
Yeah, do you feel betrayed a little bit?
No, not at all. Not at all.
That's all about the bottom line with publishers. So if they think they can sell a book,
It's all about the
they'll do it.
champions.
Yeah.
They keep, because you kind of have a book series going, and they want to take that same concept and just replicate it everywhere they possibly can. So I'm surprised that we haven't seen more of this type of stuff. Even the NFL teams, and winning championships. Maybe there is.
No, there
Maybe
is.
it's just
Hey, one of
another
the Nick Foles, right, did a book with the Eagles, and it went like to number 3 on the New York Times list. And it's all because of the euphoria around the championship. And the Eagles coach did a book. I mean, everybody knows the time to cash in is right after the championship.
Yeah. And, once it got approved, I mean, I started writing it immediately, and it didn't really take long. It's not a lot of text in this book. It's mostly a photo book, and with some great text, I think, that surrounds the photos. But Kent and his staff, Amelia and Robert, I mean, they were unbelievable. And that's what makes this book, the photos. And it's really a nice book.
I think you're selling yourself short. The writing is very, very nice.
Well, thank you. We got Scott Cochran to write the foreword, and that was kind of unique in that he doesn't really do things like that. But he jumped at the idea and, did a great job talking about.
But also, if you could have opened it up and he starts talking to you.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Get through this book.
Interactive. Yeah.
Interactive with him.
But his main theme in the foreword was the fact that, the two of the Smith pass to win the national championship may have ended the year, but the year started in a very dejected and sad locker room a year earlier in Tampa, when we were had just been beaten by Clemson. And that's when Coach Saban, at some point, whether it was that night or kind of over the next few weeks, he challenged his guys, don't waste a failure. And they used that as their mantra for the whole year. And it wasn't just, it was spring practice, it was summer workouts, it was fourth quarter program, it was the scorching days of August, it was all the way through. That was their theme the whole year. And it wasn't an easy year. We really did not end the year well last year. LSU statistically whipped us on the field, but we won. Mississippi State was, a last-minute drive to beat them. Auburn beat us pretty bad. The best win we had all year was from the College Football Playoff Committee, as far as getting in.
Getting in, yeah. We'll come back. I want to hear some more moments from 2017 that you were able to capture, and not only through photos, but also through some of the writing and some of the things that maybe you found out about certain games or certain things that happened not only last year, but in the past. They kind of correlated with each other. More with Tommy Ford coming up next here on The Jay Barker Show with Lars Anderson and Kerry Adams. Welcome back in. Jay Barker Show. And again, we're live in Tuscaloosa today. Tide 102.9 FM and also V94.9 out of Birmingham, where the V stands for variety. You can also go online and get us anytime. JayBarkerShow.com. That's JayBarkerShow.com, and listen to us anywhere in the world. We got a special guest in studio and talking about his latest book, and that is Tommy Ford, and a great friend. And we love having him in today to talk about this. But tell us some special, things that stood out to you in the book, or stories, or things that kind of reminded you of the past. Or I'm trying to figure out how to even set this up. But some of the neat stories that are shared throughout this book that don't only just deal with the season of 2017, but even the past.
Well, it's interesting that you would ask that because, last year, as you know, was your 92 teams 25-year reunion. And we had planned it for Arkansas, months and months in advance. And fortunately, Clemson had a game on that Friday night up in Syracuse. Now, they ended up getting upset. That was Clemson's only loss last year. But Dabo and Woody McCorvey and Danny Pearman and Thad Turnipseed and Danny and all those guys were able to come. And so in talking to y'all about this 92 reunion and reliving the 92 season, I was, aware because I was at the time ticket manager.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously I went to all the games in 92, and it was the first year Arkansas was in the league. And with all this 92 talk, and we happened to be playing Arkansas last year when y'all had your reunion. And then when I started doing the research, I remember something about, Damian Harris scored on the first play of this past game. And then I looked back at the 92 game, and Derek Lassick scored on the first play of the game.
Mm-hmm.
I said,
shovel pass.
That's kind of crazy. So anyway, I looked at the statistics for both of those games, 25 years apart against the same opponent. And the 92 team score was 38-11. Last year's was 41-9. Total offense, 496 to 467. Total yards allowed, 227 versus 192. Rushing yards allowed, 27 versus 28. And then between that and the scoring on the first play of the game, it was bizarre how similar those games were from a statistical standpoint. Scores, rushing yards, scoring on the first play of the game. And I just thought that was a good angle to go through in talking about this Arkansas game because it was so similar to that game. And then I used the theme, the 25-year anniversary of your team, as sort of the theme for that.
Is that a picture of Jay in there?
It is.
Oh, man.
Crazy. It says 38-11 and 41-9 were the scores.
Yeah.
So we both gave up safeties? No, 9 would have been, I guess, 3 field goals for them that year.
Yeah, I think so.
How did they get to 11? I'm trying to figure out. Did they go for 2? I can't remember that.
I don't remember.
Yeah, it's too far back for us.
Yeah. I don't remember. But, yeah, this is our looking at our team, your reunion photo.
Yep.
I managed to get in that one because I was on the staff.
That's right. Go back to one of the pages back there and call out the play that won the national championship game for us. Because I think that's pretty cool. You get the
it's cool.
The play is diagrammed.
You do a deep dive into the final play, and you said that you got a chance to speak to Coach Dabo about it.
Yeah. At the end of the chapter on the national championship game, which we have tons of photos. I bet there's probably 20 colored photos of it. I decided to get a breakdown of the play from Brian Dable, who was our offensive coordinator last year. And there was a chart or the play actual on paper was floating around a little bit, and I got permission to use it. Brian kind of reconstructed the play, and it's called Train Right Off Jill Seattle. They call it Seattle for short. And Jay, you'll understand this a lot more than me. But it's a 4 vertical play where 3 receivers line up to the right and 1 to the left. And then on the actual game-winning play, Irv Smith was the tight end, Jerry Jeudy and Calvin Ridley were to the right, and Devontae Smith was split to the left. And then Damian Harris was the lone back in the slot. So we had 4 freshmen in the game on that play. Now, 6 freshmen had played quite a bit that half. And then we had an injury, which required Alex Leatherwood to come in and play. But he got sacked. Tua got sacked on the first play of that overtime. So we got second.
And Coach Saban didn't get upset at all about
No, not at all. Not at all. So I don't, really can't get into all the football technicalities, but Brian Dable said that they were sure Georgia would think that we would just try to get 10, 15, 16, 17 yards back to put us back in field goal position to be able to tie the game because Georgia had already gone ahead by 3. And then, as he said, Tua has had this, I guess, supernatural ability to look right and throw left. And Jay, you'll have to explain that more than me, but that you really can't describe it any other way in that he looked right the whole way with receivers streaking down the right. And once he saw that free safety shift over, he knew that Smith had to be wide open. And he just, I mean, I think his throwing motion started and he was still looking right. And he knew exactly where Smith would be, and he was, 5 yards ahead of the Georgia guy. And
Tommy, I thought that was such a great move on their part to put the guys that he'd worked with the most on the field there late in the game so that they'd have, chemistry and a comfort level in the huddle, guys they had played with, because Najee was back in the backfield. You had all three of the Rugrats out there making their debuts in the national championship game. Pretty amazing to see that those guys, and they're only sophomores.
Yeah, and I'll just quote what Brian Dable said. He said, in our 2-minute drills during the last practice before the game, Tua threw 4 completions on that play, but never to the weak side guy, which was Devontae.
Yeah.
He says, so in the game, as soon as the ball was snapped, I looked down the field and thought, we've got a chance to win this thing. And I still say, and I don't know how you could argue this, but I think it's the greatest single play in Alabama football history. And we've had a ton of them, and I know all about the kick and the sack and the goal line stand and all, but none of them were walk-off winners for a national championship.
Yeah.
There have been walk-off
wins.
Yeah.
But I don't know if there's ever been a walk-off winner play in a national championship game. I mean, so I'm wondering if you could make the argument it's the greatest play in the history of college football. Given the stakes.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not getting an argument from me.
I know.
Let's make it that. It is the greatest of all time.
Yeah, there it is.
There it is. We made it.
Well, like Southern Cal, Texas, was it 05?
Yeah.
Was that?
That was Vince Young scoring, but there was a little bit of time left in that game. It wasn't a walk-off. I would say that may have been the greatest game of all time, that Texas-USC game for the national championship, but just a singular moment. I think it would be tough to argue against the Tua to Smith touchdown
and
pass.
even the goal line stand. And I think the print on everybody's wall probably has more to do with the lore of the goal line stand than anything that Daniel Moore did. But we know all those guys and they're great friends. But there was 6.5 minutes to go in the game when we held Penn State, and that preserved the win.
Yep.
We already had a 14-7 lead, and we still had to hold them again. So, But as far as a walk-off national championship winner, this is it. Yeah.
Hey, Coach Saban, preseason, we're going to be 2nd and 26 in the national championship game, and 2 freshmen, Tua and Smitty's going to go out there, and they're going to have a connection for the winning touchdown and walk-off type scenario. You couldn't even draw that stuff up, make up that type of drama. You're right. I mean, it probably is the greatest moment in Alabama history, and especially being that it won a championship. Yeah. That's the key. I mean, and goal line stand though still sticks out in so many people's minds. Kiffin's
Tiffin's kick,
Tiffin's kick against Auburn in 1985, 52-yarder, which we would have gotten a chance to re-kick because Porter was offsides, but they picked the flag up after they went through, which I think he'd have made it from about 62.
Yeah, that one he would have.
That was great. I was actually at that game, but in the opposite end zone.
As a fan,
as a fan, yeah.
How old were you?
Let me think. 85, so 13. Mm-hmm. I used to replay that thing over that video machine. We go back and forth, just rewind and replay it over and over again.
Old school VCR.
Oh yeah. Hey, Tommy, tell everybody, how can they get the book? Where can they find it?
Well, the book is available on Amazon.com, at Whitman.com. Both soup stores here in Tuscaloosa have it. The Bryant Museum has a nice gift store, and they have it as well. Books a Millions, wherever they are.
I just saw it at Barnes & Noble in Birmingham.
Barnes & Noble and Sam's has it. So it's a great Christmas gift, and it comes in a nice case, and it's a perfect coffee table kind of book for Bama fans to give as gifts for Christmas or take home and keep. And, it's just a great summary of a very exciting season for us.
Awesome stuff. Tommy, thank you for coming in,
Jay.
spending time with us, and getting to
thank you, Tommy, for coming in.
Hear about the new book. It is outstanding, so make sure you get out and find it yourself. All right, Tommy Ford been with us.